Hey guys, so currently right now I am driving from California back to Utah, and instead of doing a road trip video, I kind of wanted to do, it's been 3 years exactly since I bought my 350Z, and I wanted to do a 3-year reflection. So this is kind of like a synopsis. This is kind of like a sequel to my car review, long-term car review. So this is an extra long-term car review. This one will cost extra. I started to think about this a little bit, just, you know, shows up in your Facebook memories, just bought the car, you know, etc. And I drove this car recently. I drove it from Utah to California for the holidays to go home and visit family. And I hit a track day, and now I'm driving the car back. And it's just absolutely mind-boggling a car can do that. So for this video, I kind of want to go over, like, basically everything I've done with the car, everything I've had to do maintenance-wise, you know, everything, just the story of my ownership with this car really is what I'm going to give you guys. Oh my god, the fucking straw has a hole in it. Oh, this is going to be a long drive, guys. This is going to be a long drive. Let's backtrack to prior to buying this car. So when I moved up to college, I sold my 300ZX I had in high school, paid for school partially with that money, and didn't have a car for a year. And I had a friend with a Dodge Charger who basically said, put gas in it and you can drive it. So I went above and beyond, put gas in it, changed the oil, did the maintenance, etc. Did that for a year. Got a job in college, you know, saving up money. And I bought, for some reason, I thought it was a good idea to go buy a 300ZX again. So I bought a twin turbo 300ZX that had insult to injury. That car was awesome, actually. That car never really let me down. It was kind of a pain though. It was a quick car. Never dynoed it, maybe made like 320 wheel. It was pretty quick. Like, maintenance costs were through the roof. It got 12 miles to the gallon city. It was horrible. The cost of ownership was pretty high for like being a college student, honestly. And I was very meticulous with how the car ran. It had to be running 100% at all times. So like and for those that know 300ZXs, little sensors go off, it doesn't idle perfectly. You have a little stutter at like 2,200 RPM. So it got tiring. It got tiring to consistently keep up with the car. So I sold it. I did make a little more money than I bought it for. The car was going up in value, and the car is still going up in value, and it's significantly worth more than I sold it for now. So kind of kicking myself a little bit, but we have that NA 300ZX, so sold the car. It was a winter break. I think it was after my sophomore year of college. Sold the car, had cash in my hand. I went to go find a 350Z, essentially. Basically, I wanted a car that was like the 300ZX, a front engine, rear wheel drive car that I could do track stuff with. I could do drift stuff if I wanted, but I wanted it to be newer. So I wanted something OBD2 for sure. Doing diagnostics on OBD1 cars suck. So something OBD2. I wanted something NA also, because doing more autocross stuff, I was getting sick of turbo lag. So I wanted something NA, something that handled good. And essentially the 350Z checks all those boxes. Now, I was considering the S2000 and the M3 E46. The S2000 doesn't do the drift stuff as much. Very good. They're rear wheel drive, yeah, but they're just twitchy chassis, they're high revving, don't make a lot of low end torque. So that kind of took that off, even though those are very fun cars. I love S2000s. If I wasn't into drifting, I think that would have been an easier decision to make. So that kind of leaves the 350Z and the M3 E46. M3 E46, the only thing that scared me with those was the maintenance cost. And at the time, you'd go through the forums, and the big one was the Vanos issue. And that semi just went off the road. Oh, he blew out a tire, that sucks. The Vanos issue, basically the consensus was on the forums, change the Vanos unit if you have the issue, that's it. It's a $2,000 part, you're screwed. So that's scary to me. I'm coming off a 300ZX, I was getting sick of maintenance costs. Last thing I want to do is hop into a car with a big maintenance cost. Later on, I find out you can actually rebuild the Vanos units a lot of times, and that most BMW owners don't know how to work on cars, so they take them to the dealership. So that's where that consensus came from on the internet, but it is what it is. Anyway, so it really boiled down to a 350Z. So I did my research, I learned what every year difference was, I learned every trim level difference, etc. I was pretty set on the HR, but I'd also consider rev ups, but I wouldn't consider anything below. Being that the rev up got the updated transmission, and a lot of like problems that the regular DEs had were gone. The only issue they had was oil consumption, but after owning the 300ZX, I was pretty good about checking my oil levels and was used to topping it off frequently. But I went and checked out a bunch of HRs. One I checked out, it had 4 different tires on it, and the dealer didn't understand why that was an issue. 4 different tires, different brands on each corner, and they wanted like 13 grand. It had like 95,000 miles, and I think that was at the time value for that car in perfect condition. And now I remember seeing this car 6 months prior, still for sale at the same dealer. So my gist was, the car ran great, was, dude, it has different tires on it. I'm gonna need to buy new tires because I'm gonna drive this car back up to Utah. And you know, this one, they didn't want to work on price because of the tires. They said, what do you mean the tires still have tread? I'm like, they're dry rotted and they're different tires on each corner. This car's been here for 6 months. Don't you want to sell it? It was just stupid. Car felt great, but they didn't want to work with me, whatever. Checked out a few others, same deal. There'd be something wrong with the car, but they want full price for it, either private owner or dealership. And I drove all across Southern California looking for a car and talking to people, talking to dealers, etc., etc., etc. I'm really dragging the story out. I came up to one dealership. They had this is where I started considering rev ups a little more. So I go to one in Norco, California. It's a silver 350Z, 90,000 miles on it. Had the cool orange leather seats, really cool. Touring trim level. Drive the car. It's a rainy day. Car comes out on me. I wasn't pushing the car hard either. It was actually in 3rd gear, cruising around a bend, and I rolled into throttle to maybe like 30%, and the car's back end slid out. Now, those that know this car, that shouldn't do that. That was like totally shit tires on the car. So really left that gray one that was in pretty good condition. The auto check showed it in pretty good history. So I asked him, like, hey, I'm ready to buy the car. I'll consider your offer. I need to be able to get under the car though. Can you guys put on your lift? They said, yeah, that's fine, on the phone. I go over there, go to haggle with them about the tires also. And they said, oh, we'll get the lift open in just a sec. They make me wait an hour before they come back and tell me, you can't go onto the lift, you're a liability. So out of pettiness, I took the car to Pep Boys down the street, paid $50 to inspect it. Brakes were crap. There was a power steering leak. They agreed with me that the tires were bad. And you know what the dealership said? No, we're not gonna do anything about it. So left them a shitty review, and I don't know, hopefully they're out of business, because they are scumbags, absolute scumbags of a dealership. So in Norco, California, we left there. There was another rev up that was above 100,000 miles. You know, it's coming towards the end of winter break. I now have no car. I've looked at almost 20 different 350Zs. I looked at a lot. Go to this dealership in Ontario, a little smaller dealership. I think it's called All American Auto Group, All American Auto Sales, something like that. They were very good though. I go there. I say, you know, can I look under the car? They were a small dealer. They didn't have a lift or anything, but he's like, let me get jack stands for you. Jacks the car up for me. He's like, here's a creeper. You can slide under the car. Here, I got a flashlight for you. I look under the car. Perfect. No leaks. Everything's intact. The car is almost bone stock except for an intake. And I checked the auto check on it. There's a one owner car from a lady in California who traded it into the dealership, who she only serviced at the dealership, full of dealership service records, right? And just took immaculate care of it. And from what I understand, I then called the dealership it was traded into, and they said that she traded it in for a 370Z. So it had a good history of the car. And I didn't see any engine change for the oil consumption, and seeing how frequently it's maintained, you know, that might be like, you know, they would have caught it, I'm guessing, and it would have been warranted. So I'm guessing car was good, or maybe it was changed and I just didn't catch it in the records. There's a lot. And auto check only says serviced at dealership, doesn't say what was serviced. You want 13 grand for the car. And I was like, what's the lowest you'll take for this car? The salesman tells me, he's like, give me 1 second, let me go inside and see what we paid for this car at auction, and that's what you'll pay. I said, what? He's like, the car's been here for 60 days, I want it gone. The only thing was maybe the price and the high mileage. So maybe I just came at the right time. Anyway, he comes back, they paid 10 grand at auction, which seemed to be about the going rate for a 350Z at auctions in Southern California. So I bought the car, and here's my rev up now. Anyway, this is probably half the video of me just telling you about buying the car, but it's a great story in itself. So this is a touring trim level, so it had the leather seats. This one had the extra airbags, which I kind of wanted at the time because I was coming from a car that had no airbags. My first year of owning the car was just pure autocrossing the car. So all I did was I ran C Street, stock class. The only modifications I made that year was tires. I got some Dunlop Dureza Z2s at the time. That's kind of at the end of their time when they were the fast tire to get. RS3 was kind of taking over, but they're still a pretty competitive tire. I got a set of those for the car on the stock wheels. Did autocross. Put Stop Tech pads on. What else did I do? I got a Megan Racing single exit exhaust. And then I got that the Ings lip. And I think towards the end is when I got my new wheels and tires. I had those Ambit RE83s. Everyone was asking me what wheels I had on YouTube, which was funny. I was doing a lot of free marketing for Ambit. Ambit, if you're watching, hook it up. I'm going to be that old guy that doesn't let people like move on with their lives or whatever daily tasks they're doing, because I'm going to be going on some crazy rant. So the only major repairs I had to do to the car the first year of ownership, all I had to do was it had a bad clutch. I hit 120,000 miles. Oh, I bought the car at 116,000 miles. That's how much mileage it had. So at like 122,000, the clutch started to slip. It didn't slip a lot. It would be like you'd roll into throttle, the car would jump up 100 or 200 RPM and then grab. I thought that might have been a bad slave cylinder. Maybe it was like sticking, so I changed that first. It was not. It was definitely the clutch. I kind of provoked it to get worse just to see if it would, and it was. It definitely was the clutch. So I swapped it out, and it wasn't too difficult to do. Everything was very straightforward, and that was really the only major repair. There's only one time the car kind of let me down. The master cylinder was going bad, the clutch master cylinder. So I rebuilt it at one point, and the rebuild did okay, but from what I understand, a rebuild will only get you so far. It's really only better to get a new master cylinder. So I worked at O'Reilly Auto Parts at the time, so I used my fat discount to get one there. Turned out it was crap, and since I already pulled apart the old one, that one was useless. So it was just a bad situation, and I had to wait for an OEM part. That's one time I had to like leave the car parked. I kind of blame the parts market really instead more than anything else. Second year I got more into modifying it just a little more. I stayed in C Street. I found in the rules you could run the Grand Touring wheel setup, so I went to that. That might be that was a popular video, is me sitting with my wheels and tires. That seemed to be a pretty popular one. That's when I got those ones mounted up, and I ran C Street for about half a year. And I was originally saving up to keep the car in C Street, the stock class, for those that don't know. And that allows you to do a single exit exhaust, 200 treadwear tires on stock wheel size, any brake pads you want, and lastly, the last thing was shocks. You could change your shock absorbers, and the common was to get the Coney shock absorbers. So Coney's were like $800 or $900. Got my tax return, you know, the student one where you get like $1,000, thanks Obama, and had that money, and the TN Flex Z came out, and the TN Flex Z were pretty cheap because the gist of it was the yen to USD exchange rate was very low, so it was very cheap to get them, and TN found a way to mass produce the dampers that also reduced the cost but did not reduce the quality. So I was like, do I buy just shocks that are just like, you know, dampening adjustable, or do I get coilovers where I can adjust the height also and have a stiffer spring? So I said, screw it, let's go up in class. Got coilovers. Put the TN coilovers on. Didn't really lower it much from factory, as in I didn't lower much from factory. It can go significantly lower than what I have it at now, but it made the car handle tremendously better. The really biggest thing was like slaloms. Like it really improved that weight transfer, because this car has a lot of weight, so it really tied the car down. So I did my first drift event, and car did awesome. It took a few goes to get it, but finally got it after a few runs. Nailed some good runs, really got to huck the car in, and I felt like a boss. And actually, I sold my wheels, the bronze wheels, to Bobby that day. Bobby has the white 350Z. Sold my bronze wheels to him, and then went and bought another set of bronze wheels. Those are those 18 by 10.5s I have. All in one day. It worked out like clockwork. It was awesome. And I believe it was that following summer I did my first NASA track day. I went from HPDE 1 to went to 2 the same day, and by the end of the day I got signed up for 3. I was already in 3 by the end of the first day. So I did one more HPDE track day. I ran into, like, I didn't push too hard the first day. Did run into some cooling system issues. The car, it was summer in Utah. It was about almost 100 degrees on track, plus high elevation. So I did run into cooling system issues. My cooling gauge would go up above halfway for a second, so I'd back off immediately. Kept an eye on it, but I didn't have an oil cooler and I didn't have a radiator at the time. Did one more track day in October of that same year. It was a colder day. It was the last NASA event of the year. And the car did great. No cooling system issues just because of how cold it was. And did get brake fade though. I did find brake fade. It was pad fade though. I didn't lose any brake pedal pressure. I did plan ahead and I did flush the brake system out ahead of time. So that pretty much wraps up my second year of owning that car. Now all these winters I've driven the car through the snow also. I only got stuck once, and we got like, the snow was above my door, so I'd open my door and it would create a path of the door. That's how deep it was. So, and then the beginning of this year was my third year. So we signed that deal with Federal Tires, which is super awesome because I already loved the product. NASA event in March. We did a lot of autocross. We did the ISS drift demo, did the Streetcar Showdown drift demo, did the Nitro Circus drift demo. I love the drift demos. 2 drift events on top of those 3. So 5 drift days, well really 6, because Nitro Circus was a weekend, so consider 6 days of drifting. I think I did 12 autocrosses this year as well. And then I did the NASA 2 SCCA track days of the time trials. And then to add, very last, the 30th of December, drove down to California, hit up Willow Springs with extreme speed track events, and now I'm driving the car back. So I did all of that this year with this car, and I haven't really had to like do much maintenance to it. I've changed my oil before every track day. I do use Mobil 1 040. I think I had to do some control arm bushings this year. They were bad, so I changed them to polyurethane ones. I did put Kinetics control arms on them and modified them for about 3 degrees of negative camber in the front. I did get Carbotech pads for the tracks, no fade whatsoever. Got my oil cooler. Didn't make a video of that because it was snowing and I was trying to get it on before the track day the next day. See, because me as a driver has gotten so much faster and the car's gotten faster that I couldn't stay in the stock seat anymore. So we got this bucket seat. Really a lot of improvements made to this car mostly. I think I had to change out my ball joints this year. I'm pretty sure it was this year I changed the ball joints out. And tie rod ends were changed out as well. And that's about it, really. That's all I've done really to the car. Otherwise, it's been very basic maintenance of the car. Do all my gear oils, all that stuff. But yeah, the car's been very stress-free to drive. It's just amazing that I've been able to do all these things with this car. I feel like I've been ranting forever. That camera says I can't even read the time. But I've done all these track days. So to add, I did what, like 19 last year. I think the year before that I did about 16 or 17 events. And then I think the year before that I did 13. So 13, 16, 19. I've done 40 to 50 events in this car. I've driven it to California 6 or 7 times now. It's just a great car. And that's one thing people don't understand with these cars is how solid they are, how robust they are. People don't give the car that credit. I kind of made this like long old man style rant to the car to shine some light about what this car can do. A lot of people are like, yeah, you could go buy a 335i and, you know, look at it funny and it'll make 400 wheel. Yeah, that's cool, but can you go to track days consistently and not worry about breaking something? Can you go to track days, drift events, autocrosses, drive it halfway across the West Coast, drive it back and not worry about it at all, not even have a worry in the back of your head? You can't do that with a lot of cars. There's very few cars that can do that. I think the only other cars on that reliability scale are Hondas. And Hondas are very reliable and can make some good power with some aftermarket support. But then you got a front-wheel drive car. You don't have anything you can drift. So this really does suit the bill of jack of all trades. You can even rally these cars. There's some guys that rally these. I know my friend Austin, he rallies his here in Utah. I haven't rallied this just because I lowered it. Kind of want to raise it for a day and rally it, but nah. It just goes to show how robust these cars can be. And they really don't get credit for that. I mean, name me a car you can daily and do all of the above with as well. Or as in track days and drifting and you name it. There aren't many cars that can do that. This car is literally access to a lot of things you can do in the automotive world. That's the best thing this car does. It grants you access. It gives you that freedom to be able to go to track days, go to drift events, and do good because you have a car you can learn with now. To add, I haven't done any modifications for the drifting stuff that make it any better. It still has the viscous diff, and it still has stock angle. The coilovers make the car feel better, but they're not required to drift. To add to all that, I'm even getting good fuel economy. I'm getting 29 miles to the gallon right now as we speak. What car can do that? What car can do all those things and still deliver decent fuel economy? Not amazing, decent. After 3 years of owning this car, I don't think I could ever sell it. I don't think I'd ever get rid of this car. It's been so good to me. Why would I? Why would I let go of something that's been so solid? So anyone that's on the fence or considering buying one, and you want to be a driver, you want the seat time, you want something that'll give you that access, this is the car to get right now. And get them while they're on the depreciation scheme right now. I mean, they're falling in price. It hurts that these are so devalued by the community. You go to the 350Z community, it's a bunch of like cancerous human beings talking trash about the car. I joke about the car being a trash can, but when someone asks me with sincerity, is this a good car? I tell them straight, well, I'm telling them what I'm telling this video now. I'm telling you guys right now. Right now, this is my sincere opinion of the car. And that it is a great car because it lets you do what you want. The only thing you probably couldn't do is, you know, throw some bolt-ons on it and make a lot of horsepower, but who cares? If you want to leave all that ego stuff behind you and you want to be a driver, you want to be able to go on canyon drives, go drifting, whatever, road trip cruise, track days, this is a car that lets you do it stress-free. Let's just boil this point down to, I drove my car 800 miles away, did a track day, and I'm now driving it 800 miles back. That should answer all your questions right there. Did it without any fuss. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope if you were a prospective 350Z owner, you're considering purchasing one, hope this answered a lot of questions. And I hope to see you in a Z next, and hope to see you out at your local track days, out in your local canyon, out driving your car. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. We'll catch you in the next video.